Let's sing. Let's stand. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. For the daylight will dawn when the darkness is gone. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. For the daylight will dawn when the darkness is gone. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. Good morning, Pastor.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning. We're good. How are y'all? Good here. You know what? The truth is, every Sunday, we have some folks who arrive here and things are good, and we have some folks who arrive here and things are not so good. But we are family here. We love one another here, and we're going to care for each other, right?
Amen.
Right. And why don't we hug a neck, shake a hand, tell someone you're glad they're here this morning. Let's do that. Let's greet each other.
There'll be peace and contentment evermore. There'll be peace and contentment evermore. Every heart, every voice on that day will rejoice. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. Every heart, every voice on that day will rejoice. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. Beautiful. You can be seated if you'd like.
Did we lose our other pastor?
We enjoy it. She said something about getting out of the business.
Well, she's preaching today, so I guess we're going to have to let the Pentecostal spirit go to you. Oh, here she
Here
is.
she comes.
All right. All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, this is Pastor Pam. You should see her when she's walking on water. It's something. It's something. Got lots of things going on. We want to remind you that our church bulletins are available every Sunday morning on your smartphones. You can. We especially during the scripted series, we don't do the printed bulletins as much, but we do make them available online. Every now and again, somebody says, "What was that song you sang?" or "What was the scripture that we referenced?" So usually, what we try to do is leave each week's church bulletin up until the next Sunday, so folks can reference back to that.
And that's all you doing it, and we appreciate it. But it really is a wonderful thing that we can do and leave up there. So.
Right. We have the folks who are serving. Our announcements are on there, and of course the service is on there. So you can pull that up. You can take a picture of the QR code or go to bluegrasschurch.org/bulletin, and our church bulletin is available there. Nosh, we have Nosh this morning.
Nosh today was brought by Esther White. What we have today, Esther?
It's a hamburger potato casserole.
Sounds good. Esther can cook. Esther can build. My heavens.
And drive people home at the church.
That's right.
If you know people who may be hungry or struggling this week who need a little extra food, everything's bagged up. Just pick it up as you start to leave today. And if you see somebody on the street, just hand it out the door. Also today in Fellowship Hall, Rita's going to be selling fair trade chocolates,
Stocking stuffers, chocolates.
bamboo toilet paper, and coffee.
Yeah. Thank you, Rita, for doing that.
Lots of it.
Lots of
You got the
good.
cranberry chocolate?
There you go.
All
So
right.
everybody knows what to get Pastor Marcia for
Tis
Christmas.
the season. Cranberry chocolate is delicious.
We're looking forward to
Isn't
Tuesday.
it hard to believe that it's already time for Christmas Eve and Christmas? It has just flown by this year. We hope you can join us this Tuesday night at 6 o'clock for our Christmas Eve service. It's going to be pretty special, and we always prepare for it in a very special way. Perhaps bring some friends, bring family members if you have them from out of town or they're in town and you gather. We would really like to fill this place up, and of course, we will always do our traditional singing of Silent Night by candlelight at the end. So we hope you'll join us, hard to believe, day after tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
And then next Sunday, it's going to be a really special, fun, enjoyable Sunday after Christmas here. Billy Metcalf is not able to be with us today because he has family in from out of town, and he's cooking for them all day today. But next Sunday, he's going to be cooking for us. We're going to have Billy's Big Country Breakfast here in this room. What we're going to do is we're basically going to set it up. We're going to be able to eat and sing and worship and pray and do all of it at once. I think Jesus would be all about that. And we would love for you to come join us next Sunday morning, our normal time, traditional time, and invite some friends to come and eat with us and sing with us and worship with us. And we'll have a bit of a homily, and it's just going to be a beautiful, beautiful service.
So make sure to come next Sunday. I won't be here next Sunday. That's why they're having this big shindig, but that's okay. I will be thinking of you all and praying with you all from Florida.
Thank you.
And the other thing we want to bring your attention to, how many of you who have been members even for a while have participated in either a water blessing or a baptism with us? Can you raise your hand if you've done that? We haven't done that in a while, but it was a really beautiful thing we used to do at least once a year. We're going to resume that. Can you believe that in 2019 we have 28 new members at Bluegrass? And since our inception, we've averaged 23 a year. Now, you would think, well, that'd be 180 people just overflowing, but there's ebbs and flows. People move, people find a different journey, and we've had some really critical people that we've lost to death. And so that things happens in a congregation, but we're so thrilled to have this new crop, I say, of family members. And so a couple things, you know, you can join our church anytime. You don't have to talk to one of us before, and we think joining the church just means this is a place that you feel like home, that you belong here and you want to worship here and be part of this family. And so what we're going to do is January the 12th, we're going to have water blessings, and we have at least 2 baptisms that we're going to do. So Seth has already told us, I don't know what we'd do without Seth. I really don't. But we will put our baptistry up here, our mobile baptistry up here, and we will do a couple of baptisms, and then we will do some water blessings. If you want to participate in that, even if you haven't joined this year, but we just haven't done it since you've become a member, please let one of the 3 of us know. You can just tell us as we're walking around. You can email us. You can send us a message on Facebook. But we would love to do, it's a really beautiful ritual that we do. So if you've already been baptized before, we just do a water blessing. If you've never been baptized, then we work with you, and that can either be with a sprinkling or immersion, whatever your comfort level is about that. Okay? January 12th is when that's going to happen, and we're looking forward to it. That's always the story of when Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist.
Yeah, absolutely. So many things coming up, so many things to be excited about, and God, do your thing in this place.
Absolutely.
This day we pray in your name. Let's sing.
There'll be love and forgiveness everywhere. There'll be love and forgiveness everywhere. And the way of the Lord will that day be restored. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. And the way of the Lord will that day be restored. There'll be joy in the morning on that day.
Let's take a deep breath. Breathe in the air that God has gifted us with. Let's hold it, treasure it. Now let's release it back to God, the God who gives us this breath.
Psalm 98, upon which the hymn Joy to the World is based, names the joyful expression of all creation as the response to the news that the Prince of Peace, Emmanuel, is coming at long last, where love, not chaos, will reign and balance will be restored. As we get ever closer to Christmas, we acknowledge with the hymn writer Isaac Watts that God rules the world not with sword or domination, but with truth and grace. In this, all nations, all of the world will prove God's presence in and through this peaceful joy.
Sing a new song to the Lord.
Sing a new song to the Lord.
Lift your hearts with gratitude.
Lift your hearts with gratitude.
Sing a new song to the Lord.
Sing a new song to the Lord.
Lift your hearts with gratitude.
Lift your hearts with gratitude.
And joy.
And joy.
Peaceful joy.
Peaceful joy.
Your steadfast love and faithfulness.
Your steadfast love and faithfulness
is ever present in our lives.
is ever present in our lives.
Your steadfast love and faithfulness.
Your steadfast love and faithfulness
is ever present in our lives.
is ever present in our lives.
With joy.
With joy.
Peaceful joy.
Peaceful joy.
Let the voices of all people blend in harmony. In unison, let the people magnify the beloved.
We sing.
We sing.
We sing.
We sing.
Joy to the world.
Joy to the world.
Heaven and nature sing.
Heaven and nature sing.
Joy to the world.
Joy to the world.
Heaven and nature sing.
Heaven and nature sing.
With joy.
With joy.
Peaceful joy.
Peaceful joy. Let the sea laugh and all that fills it. the world and all those who dwell in it. Let the waters clap their hands. Let the hills ring out with joy before the Beloved, who radiates peace to all the earth. For love reigns over the world with truth and justice, bringing order and balance to all of creation.
And here we are again with our friend, the Advent Wreath. You have done such a wonderful job of helping us all discover joy this season. Let's thank the wreath. So today, all of your hard work is going to pay off, because today you all get to, yes indeed, well, almost all of you get to shine today. Finally, on Christmas Eve, we will hear from our friend in the middle and find out what is going to be said.
Oh, good. I can't wait for that.
Well, I was kind of counting on all of you being here for that. I mean, we are likely to have many visitors with us that evening on Christmas Eve.
I'm hoping all of you will join us too.
And I'd love it if you all bring somebody with you.
And I've been prepared.
Okay, everybody calm down. Let's take a deep breath. Just a couple more days.
Okay, well, I'm really glad that you're all ready when the time comes. I mean, we all need to help each other through the rough spots, you know? And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Peaceful joy. Would you care to elaborate?
Of course. It would bring me joy to do so. As Unabashed Joy told us the first week of Advent, we don't often think of joy as peaceful. We think of it as exuberant and somewhat happy-clappy. It certainly can be. But over the last 3 weeks, we've taken a deeper look at joy, and now we're aware of the power of the joy that resides like an ever-flowing river of grace that we can dip into when we need it most. Peaceful joy says, stick with it, beloved. It will be all right, even if it doesn't feel completely right now. Peaceful joy says, it doesn't have to be this way. We can shift from the chaos to being in the quiet eye of the storm, where Emmanuel, God with us, has set up residence. And we can be Emmanuel for each other when the storms threaten to overtake the people, community, and creation around us. So once again, everyone, let's practice our peaceful joy.
Thank you. Thank you. Today, we light the candle of peace. We have Tammy, Skylar, and Samuel here to help us do just that.
And Christmas Eve, we'll light the Christ candle. Let us pray. Holy God, we await again for the arrival of your Son, the Prince of Peace. Oh, how we long for the peaceful waters of joy. Those peaceful waters that run deep and wide underneath all of our life. God, when we feel the chaos of life bearing down on us, help us remember that it doesn't have to be this way. And help us step into a slower rhythm that is your peaceful joy. Amen. please join me in our unison call to worship? Let truth and grace rule our hearts this day. Let truth and grace rule our church this day. Let truth and grace rule the world this day. In the name of peace.
We sing.
We sing.
We sing.
We sing.
Joy to the world.
Joy to the world.
Heaven and nature sing.
Heaven and nature sing.
Joy to the world.
Joy to the world.
Heaven and nature sing.
Heaven and nature sing.
With joy.
With joy.
Peaceful joy.
Peaceful joy.
Ah, yeah. Would you stand with us this morning as we sing our opening hymn? I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. Can we do this? Just the voices. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. And everyone said, amen. You can be seated. I love your voices. You know, the name Emmanuel means God with us. From both the Hebrew and the Christian narratives, we hear the yearning for this Emmanuel, for God to become so present that God's peace, truth, love, and justice reign among all the world and bring balance to what feels pretty much out of sorts a lot of days. So from Isaiah we read this. Then Isaiah said, "Listen, house of David. Isn't it enough for you to be tiresome for people that you're also tiresome before my God? Therefore the Lord will give you a sign. The young woman is pregnant and is about to give birth to a son, and she will name him Emmanuel. He will eat butter and honey and learn to reject evil and choose good."
And then the Isaiah scripture is referenced in Matthew's telling of the birth narrative. The birth of Jesus took place like this. His mother Mary was engaged to be married to Joseph. Before they came to the marriage bed, Joseph discovered that Mary was pregnant. It was by the Holy Spirit, but he didn't know that. Joseph, chagrined but noble, determined to take care of things quietly so Mary would not be disgraced. While he was trying to figure a way out, he had a dream. God's angel spoke in the dream. Joseph, son of David, don't hesitate to get married. Mary's pregnancy is spirit conceived. God's Holy Spirit has made her pregnant. She will bring a son to birth. And when she does, you, Joseph, will name him Jesus, which means God saves, because he will save his people from their sins. This would bring the prophet's embryonic sermon to full term. Watch for this. A virgin will get pregnant and bear a son. They will name him Emmanuel. Hebrew for God is with us. And then Joseph woke up. He did exactly what God's angel commanded in the dream. He married Mary, but he did not consummate the marriage until she had the baby. And he named the baby Jesus.
It's the fourth Sunday in Advent. Peaceful Joy Sunday. And if you're like me, you probably don't feel very peaceful this morning. You probably may have come in here, some of you may have come in peaceful, perhaps a little rattled by the world around us, frazzled by all the running around trying to buy gifts that nobody really needs, and trying to bake one more batch of cookies, or fix that special candy for somebody, or get grandma's cake just right. The trees are up in our houses, but if we tell the truth, most of us don't even have time to sit down to enjoy them. We rarely have time to just be these days. And you know what, if we do? Some of us will find ourselves worried and upset by what we see on TV or read in the newspaper or hear neighbors say. Our government bodies are split down the party line, and instead of using what they could do to make our world better, we sit back and witness the divided platforms that just divide all of us even more. We see people who are homeless, mass numbers living in tents in different parts of the U.S. Truth be known, y'all, there's a few of our friends that walk through the doors here at this church that live over in a little tent in a park. So it's right here at home. Guns. Every day we're witness to the retelling of horrific details of shootings in schools, shootings in malls, family killings. It all interferes with our ordinary kind of days, doesn't it? I don't know about you all, but I sure do need a little peace this Sunday. How about you? Could you use a little? My soul craves it. And you know, even if I know how to find it, I'm not real good at taking time to do it. Because I'm too busy. That's pretty sad, isn't it? Too busy to relish a little bit of peace. I looked up the definition of peace because it is a big concept. And it's within my nature to wrestle with real simple things. So I was sitting in a coffee shop and I put my earphones in. I was listening to all these songs about peace. I thought that was going to give me a sermon. And I began to ponder the meaning. So I contacted my friend Webster. Just bear with me. Y'all might know what it means, but it has a lot of meanings. Peace can serve as both a noun and a verb. Lord knows we need some verb. It can be a state of tranquility or quiet, freedom from disquieting or oppressive thoughts or emotions, harmony in personal relations, a state or period of mutual concord between governments. We sure do need some of that, don't we? It can be a pact or agreement to end hostility, and it can be used to ask for silence. It can be a greeting or a farewell. The Hebrew term shalom not only refers to peace, but also represents an overall wish for well-being. That's what I wish for all of us today. Shalom. Peace doesn't seem to come all at once, does it? There is no kumbaya moment when suddenly the world just stops and everything all at once is in a state of harmony. Don't y'all wonder what that'd be like? Everybody all at once just having a moment to breathe. You know, I've come to believe that peace can be attained at any given moment, even when I don't know how to enter that moment. It comes by connecting with a source of holy power. And that holy power, most of us don't even have words to articulate. But when love comes to our little corner of town, resides on us, enters into us, that is when and where we find the moment of tranquility, well-being, shalom. As a child, I craved peace. I yearned it. I still do. I could never stand it when folks didn't get along, or there was some kind of fight going on, or people were bickering. It would tear my insides up. My family of origin could sometimes find themselves in a little bit of chaos, just a little bit, that would turn into something big, and I would worry about how things were going to turn out. You see, as a kid, our house was right in between my grandmother and my grandfather on one side, and my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather on the other side. This side was Little Ma and Little Pa. This side was Fat Ma and Fat Pa. Now that I look back, she wasn't really fat, but as a kid, she looked like it. My Little Ma and Little Pa, they spoiled me rotten. I was the firstborn grandchild. I special, you know. And I loved to stay the night at their house. One night when I was about 6, I was sleeping there, and I felt my little Pa pick me up, carry me across the yard, and put me in my own bed in my own home. I remember waking up just a minute, and he whispered something like this: "Your little Ma just left me." I was 6. When I lost my childlike wonder and sense of peace for the first time, that's when I remember it. You could say since Little Ma's grandmother and father lived here, and she left, and Little Pa lived here, it was a mess. It was a big mess. You could say I was stuck right in the middle watching the big old show. And you know, as a 6-year-old, that was hard. That was hard as hell. And my peaceful little world began to fall apart. It was the first time I remember not feeling peace for the first time. My family was fractured, as many of our families are. Sunday dinners were never the same. And even that fear factor God of my childhood could not rid me of the anxiety that simmered inside of me. At least I thought it couldn't. But one day I remember sitting outside on my bicycle. It was bright blue, had a banana seat. I thought I was the best bike rider in town, and a big old white basket. It was a bright day. Wind was blowing. And I can remember talking out loud to my non-imaginary friend that I called Jesus. And it happened. Peace. Peace, maybe I didn't know that word then, but peace. Something came over me when I was talking to my friend Jesus, and I knew I was going to be okay. I knew I was going to be okay. It was calm. But God came. God came to a little blonde-headed girl sitting on a bicycle right there in the yard. And I was okay, because peace settled right in. I've had to ease back into that moment many times over my life. I don't always remember to talk to my friend Jesus. I crave peace. But I've come to believe that there are people who've never, ever experienced it, who never know what that peace is like in their core. You see, I have a lot of young folks who work for me, and I can tell the difference of whether they lived in a peaceful home or they lived in a chaotic home. Because when things are going okay, the chaotic home people, they start to stir in the pot. And they stir and stir and stir until things are awful and I'm about to throw up. But they feel just fine right there in the middle of all that chaos, because they don't know what to do with peace. Whew. It just eats me alive. I don't do well with it, with all that chaotic stuff. But when I remember that I have access to something bigger than myself, this power that's greater than all of us in this room, then all I have to do is this. Breathe in the holy breath of God. And let it settle over my soul. Joseph was engaged to Mary. And in the Jewish culture, the marriage of people was arranged with the family. It involved two aspects. First, the engagement piece, when the man and the woman started dating, so to say. Second part of the marriage was when he took her home for consummation. Now, they were in that first stage of dating when Joseph found out that Mary was going to have a baby. That was a taboo back then. It was considered adultery. You know, Joseph must have really cared about Mary. It's apparent that he was troubled by the whole situation. You see, the easiest thing to do when this happened would be to expose her as an adulteress and put her to shame. Even today in some cultures, they will take a woman out and stone her for committing adultery and stone her partner. I suspect that Joseph was filled up with anxiety and concern. It seems he didn't quite know what to do. But somehow he had decided he was going to figure it all out so Mary was going to be okay. The language in the text says that Joseph had a dream. And I hate doing this, but I'm going to say it because I hate it when preachers talk about the original language. It is relevant at this time that the word that was used in the original language was not that Joseph was sleeping, but that he was having a spiritual awakening, an aha moment with the Spirit. The angel of God came. And I don't know what that angel looked like, but I like to think the angel looked like what I think. Something's going on inside his head. He's thinking. And suddenly there's a little God whisper that comes, and you don't know where it comes from. I like to think that that was what was happening with Joseph. And just like the angel said to Mary, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. This child will embody love as no other has. Mary's not cheated on you. This child is going to be a gift of God to the people of God. Never states that he was praying. Kind of feels like to me that he must have been. Must have been like all that anxiety stirring inside of him finally got settled down. And then whispers started coming. Joseph, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. There's a gift coming to the world. Now, I'm going to tell y'all I don't really understand all that birth story, and I'm not going to get into it today. But even with Joseph's reaction to this event, it provides a witness to the way that God turns the world upside down in a radical move that goes against culture. And Joseph leaned into that God whisper, and he listened. I think it sounded like peace blowing through. Joseph, you go ahead and marry her as your wife. For this child coming, it's hope for the world. Don't you be afraid. I'm with you. I am with you. And while Joseph may not have really understood what was happening any more than we understand when we hear those God whispers, Joseph acted. He married Mary, the mother of Jesus, and awaited the birth of amazing love that was coming to the world, that was coming to us. I don't know about all of you, but don't you think our world needs a little bit of peace? I need some hope. I need some love. I could sure use some joy this morning, but peace? You know, intellectually, I know God is with us. Emmanuel, God is with us. I don't always remember it and I don't always feel it. But every day we wake up to 24 hours to live. And believe it or not, every one of us in this room has the ability to make a choice to live in peace, to live in joy, to have a bit of happiness, and to share it with everybody we come in contact with. You see, it is right here. Peace is right here, right now. We don't have to travel across the world to view the wonder of God. Look at the people next to you. We don't have to go far to hear the laughter of a friend. You probably just walked through the fellowship hall and heard a little bit. Peace comes with a development of awareness, an awareness of the holy. It is noticing things, noticing people. It's getting out of the mindset that we're getting there because we're living now. Being totally present. Being totally present with each other. How often do we do that? Why can't we remember that we're on a journey with little lessons right in front of us every day? Happiness and joy, they don't come when we get there. Or when we get that job. Or when the kids get bigger. Or when we graduate. Why can't we accept that it's here? Peace, love, joy. Here. And you know, even when we have relationships that are shattered, or dysfunctional families, when we lose someone and we miss them, when chaos spins all around us and people are stirring up the pot, you know what we need to do? Stop. Breathe in the wonder of God. Ask God to awaken us from complacency. What happens if we stop and breathe in God's peace? What happens if we sit still? What happens out chair and sit down a little while to allow God to guide us a little bit? Joseph apparently allowed God to come in a dream, a vision. What's going to happen if we all just sit? Sit still. In the quiet of this sanctuary altogether. What happens if we breathe in the breath of God? What happens if we let that infuse us? So right now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask peace to settle over us. Some of you may be a little afraid of this, but I promise it might feel a little weird, but just follow along and play with me today. We're going to take a little journey. We're going to ask the holy in this place to come into us. In a minute, Big's going to sing us something. And the Latin translation of it, it means grant us peace.